The answer is going to be they do ban away speed.
Yeah, okay. Well, that opens up Frosty, obviously, as an option, unless alternate attacks also want to ban out Frosty. We'll see. There may be a little bit of a conferring going on right now as they figure out what to do. Obviously, Frosty has been an insta-ban pretty much every time up against alternate attacks because nobody knew that speed was so dominant for them. But there we go. Okay, Vortex is the one that's banned out, so we may be seeing more Frosty. We didn't really think that this would be the side effect of speed being really good for the team, but hey, I'm all for it.
I'm fully okay with it. I'm a little bit surprised how long it took alternate attacks to think about their ban there. I mean, surely they knew that speed starting to get banned away was a high risk possibility. I would have thought that they had more of an idea of like, okay, well, what's our plan for after that? Like, this is what we've been trying to draw is a speed ban. We've drawn it. And it just seemed like they were sitting there going like, didn't actually think we'd get this far.
Yeah, I think what that indicates for me is that they're not comfortable on Frosty. And I think they're going to leave it, ideally, as long as they can. I think it will be up to random. It is randomly 7th. Understandable. Yeah, hopefully. I think it's a little less likely with this series than a lot of the ones we've seen so far. But yeah, that was an interesting side effect. Obviously, I think, they were fully prepared for a Frosty ban, and then, they're able to pick speed. And yeah, I don't... we were thinking, I think last week we went, if speed is banned, do you think they're really good at Frosty? Do you think that's just a sleeper pick? No, I think that is absolutely not the case. They were not expecting that whatsoever.
Unless they're just hiding the pick at the moment, I mean, this is ASCENT. Like, look, alternate attacks, they would be justified in coming into this match saying, yeah, we can probably close this out in 5, maybe 6, okay? Yeah. Look, I am fully huffing the copium right now. I am all in on being like, yeah, we're going to see more Frosty late in the season. It's going to be alternate attacks' pocket pick against Sprout in the final match of the regular season as they look to pick up a very important win. I don't really think that is the case, but they could well be hiding picks. We're still very early in the season.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Wosal and Scandia coming up against Zerar and Arthanir. Both of these teams have 2, I think, Challenger League records. So currently, I mean, look, hey, I mean, on paper, kind of identical in terms of, their dominance on different maps. Obviously, completely different maps that they are good at, and that is why I think Vortex was banned out, is because Zerar currently holds that record on that one. So both teams going for, anti the other team bans.
Yeah, and it was a very standard pick as well, I think, from alternate attacks. They're kicking things off on Airwalk, and then we go into pool, and then off-road is a little bit shakier, but sure, in 5th position, that's still not really a surprising pick, as it will be Arthanir falling off the map very, very early on, a long way down from the other cars, and Scandia and Wosal, they're out to an early lead.
Yeah, I think last series was very close on every map. I think this is going to be the opposite kind of series. It's going to be complete dominance on one map and then complete dominance on the next map from the other team, possibly going on
or
through.
Just
maybe not
dominance from the same team again.
Yeah, possibly that as well.
Attacks dominate. But look, ASCENT have gone a little bit off meta themselves. Grip in first position is a little bit out there. I would have maybe preferred to see them pick it 4th, try and pull the alternate attacks against alternate attacks and go with a map that is a little bit dodgier, but maybe they personally are not as comfortable. Zerar will get an awkward bounce, still recovers, is still going to make it to the end, but has lost well over a second or two there at the end. And Wosal and Scandia are fully hand in hand flying through the air. That is some Peter Pan and Wendy nonsense if I've ever seen it.
Absolutely. Not even a remotely groundbreaking time. They didn't need to set anything insane whatsoever, since both of the ASCENT players well past a 110 there. I mean, ASCENT have won this half the time that they've played it, but honestly, their best time is a 109.0. It's one of the, actually, I think it is the worst best time out of all of the teams for this map. I think it is their least favorite map, probably. And unfortunately, that's just the way I think these two teams shape up, is that they both have very opposite map pools. And that will result in some very one-sided games.
And that's a situation that probably favors the on paper better team as well, right? Because then they're much more likely to be able to just close out their own maps cleanly. And even if they're not as comfortable on their opponent's maps, they're much more likely to be able to contest on those maps anyway, just by virtue of, hey, we're alternate attacks and we're very quick and we're very aggressive on all these maps. They're not our best maps, but we're still quite good at them relative to the rest of the Challenger League. And right now, this is most definitely not looking like a map that ASCENT are comfortable on. Once again, both of them several seconds away as Scandir and Wosile continue to fly away to Never Never Land.
Yes, a pretty dominant start for them. ASCENT really not giving them anything to think about whatsoever. I mean, it's just driving at this point. Scandir starting to warm up into things, is getting within 4/10 of his record there. I mean, alternate attacks aren't working whatsoever. I think if I'll look forward towards Grip for a little bit. Both of these teams have won every time they've played Grip. ASCENT much more convincingly over the course of it. Obviously, it's their map pick and they feel more comfortable on it. Times are good for both teams. Alternate Attacks second best time with Scandir's 101.847, which is a 1.5 tenths away from Arthanir's Challenger League record. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the time, I mean, okay, let's look at it this way. ASCENT have 55.6% ace rate on that map.
Which is genuinely very, very impressive. That is a high ace percentage rate. And, well, I don't know if Alternate Attacks is a team that they're going to extend that in. A team that is famed for their consistency. It's going to be very difficult to just continually ace them, but Alternate Attacks are most definitely starting things off exactly how they would have wanted here on Airwalk, on track to go up 9-0, and potentially give us our first 12-0 in a while in the Challenger League. Have we've definitely had at least one already in stage 2, right?
Yeah, we have, because there was the tease of a 15. A 15
Oh,
but
yeah,
it was obviously rolled back the first round, but Zera putting together a good performance this round, but a good performance is not even remotely good enough against Alternate Attacks here. 9-0, really no contest whatsoever still. We're definitely looking towards Grip at this point, unless ASCENT can do something unheard of right now.
Yeah, well, no, because the 12-0 was broken. We didn't get the 15-0, so that one wasn't a 12-0 in the end.
I think it would have been.
Yeah, I think we've only had one 12-0 so far in the Challenger League, and that was all the way back in literally our first match of the season when Omino Sun beat ASCENT 12-0 on Sinuous, which, hey, fair enough. ASCENT were very much not going into that day expecting or planning to play on Sinuous, and did not look like they had spent much time on the map at all. But unfortunately for ASCENT, they do look a little bit like they may end up at the receiving end of the second 12-0 of the Challenger League as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the unfortunate circumstances that Alternate Attacks is, well, second best map. Obviously, let's get rid of speed from that equation because it wasn't possible to be picked. Is ASCENT's worst. Or at least the map where ASCENT is the worst team in the Challenger League on paper. Right now, a good round from them. I mean, they're putting together good times. They're down by half a second, but Arthanir is contending here with Scandir and Wosile. They can deny here the 12-0. It's possible. That's going to be the big one. It definitely is denying it. Wosile does manage to close out the map, but 2 points for ASCENT in there. It is going to be the 10-2 instead of the 12-0.
What a choke by Alternate Attacks. Honestly, can't believe this. This is the team that we have at 3-0 at the moment. I think, maybe we should replay it just to make sure that it wasn't a fluke that they managed to win it this first time around. 10-2 is still pretty convincing, Twiggy.
It is. It definitely is. I mean, Alternate Attacks, they had to respawn to give any points away there. But Grip, Grip looking a lot better for ASCENT here. They are the best team on this map currently in the Challenger League. On paper, I mean, best times, best ace record, best win record. They generally are the most consistent team here and the fastest. So this should be theirs. But it's Alternate Attacks, right? Yeah,
Alternate Attacks have only played this map once, right? We don't have a massive sample size for them. And I do remember some struggle still for ASCENT, despite the fact that, they are great on this map, even relative to the other Challenger League teams, never mind to the rest of their own map pool. While this is their strongest map, I'm still nervous for them. There were still mistakes. I'm thinking, after that jump in the middle of the track, that dirt entry, we saw Arthanir struggle a few times on the outside of that, touching a wall in a place that very few other players do touch on that entry as well. And Alternate Attacks are going to punish any kind of mistakes like that. This is the first real test. All 4 players not quite through. Arthanir will crash on out. We won't even get to see this follow-up dirt entry cleanly for the moment. Scandir and Wosile are both alongside Zera.
Yeah, you got to keep in mind that the one time Alternate Attacks did play it, it was a 10-5 and Scandir set the second best time in the Challenger League simultaneously there. So with one game's worth, and Ascent just aren't quite as consistent as them. Scandir and Wosal scream into first and second position, and maybe it won't be as easy for Ascent as they would have liked. Scandir and Wosal, not quite. Okay, just Wosal across the line, a 102.1. Zerar will take second place. Will Arthur get there in time? Yes, indeed. Scandir with the respawn has given away 2 of their possible points and given 1 to Ascent as well. And, well, we start things with a draw. Ascent get their second chance here.
And close enough to the Challenger League time that maybe Arthur should start sweating about holding this one by the time we leave. Or maybe he should just drive faster and set a new one himself. That would also be an option here. But that was about 4/10 away on that one, and it was not a round that felt particularly clean from anyone involved. Zara the only one to make it to the line without incident.
Well, we'll have to see if Ascent are able to warm up into this one. They obviously didn't really have a lot of time to warm up on Airwalk. They only got 1 or 2 clean rounds, either of them. Oh, Wosal doesn't quite get between the poles. Will fall back a lot further, and this is Ascent's chance now to pull away. Scandir doing his best to keep up. Again, has put together great times on this track, but against Arthur and Zerar, Arthur of which is the one with the only player in the league with a better time here than Scandir on this track. It's a more difficult affair, and you know, this is not a situation which Alternate Attacks are really familiar with, is having a team that is on paper better than them on a map. But here we are, Zerar trailing behind 3/10, but Arthur really clean all the way through, stays ahead, and almost ties up his TMCL record there. Again, that is better than Scandir's best time here. I think Scandir does improve his best time. No, not quite. Very close, but not quite. But yeah, there it is. I mean, that's what we're expecting to see here on Ascent.
Yeah, honestly, fantastic stuff for Ascent on that round, and they do manage to put themselves in the lead for the first time in this match. It's only map 2, and already they've at least started to challenge Alternate Attacks in this one, and it may be their best map, but I don't think there was any guarantee of that, especially after how badly they got beaten on the first map. Would have been very easy to let the heads get down a little bit, to maybe not start driving to potential all that quickly. That's a great round, though. Arthur showing that not rattled after map 1, getting that close to the current Challenger League record, to his own record, is very impressive. And Wosal will slide out in that round. And after Ascent started to drop behind, really for the first time on this map, they have been allowed right back into it by that mistake.
Yeah, Arthur loses about half a second at the start as well, obviously. That's what happens when you set a really good time. You do crash out. It wasn't a record, so he didn't fully crash out, but that's how that works. Scandir in first place now and looking to put together a really nice time here. Zerar right behind, putting some pressure on, but it's really difficult to completely fail this identity, and Scandir will just get through. Zerar will lift a couple of wheels and can't quite get it done. Oh, gets overtaken by his teammate and Wosal after not hitting the risky finish, as it were. Scandir takes first place. Wosal takes third. It's right back at them.
That's such a rough error to make as well. Just trying to turn in a little bit too earlier. Well, I say trying to turn in a little bit too early. Really just overcooked it right at the end. Was thinking about the turn in at the end of the identity. Car tips up a little bit. Has to go a little bit wider and loses a little bit of speed on the exit. And gets overtaken because that finish line is a speed check. Tied up. Alternate Attacks for Ascent for Scandir and Wosal. Once again are the quicker of the two teams through the first few turns of the map. And with no mistakes on that plastic turn this time around, they are holding on to the lead. Although Wosal was a little bit slower over that jump, and Arthur just the quickest player in all.
Yeah, well, they're definitely keeping up for the time being. Really good entry into the dirt there for them. And then Zerar, in fact, takes over a lot of time there in the water section. Will catch right up to Scandir. 1/10 behind now. Arthur right behind as well, putting together a little more speed here at the start of the identity. Zerar overcooks that turn a little bit and falls behind Wosal and his teammate. Arthur trying to overtake now. Gets a more inside line, but it's not quite enough to overtake Scandir with a 101.86. It's a draw between the teams. It's 5-5 in this map.
Full redemption for Zerar on that round. That was a flawless exit from the final turn, and it was enough to beat Wosal by a 10th. They were completely level coming out of that turn, and you can see there is time to be gained just by getting that one right all the way down to the finish line. It's only enough to result in a draw as Scandir continues to be Scandir, and just really, really quick and doing it over and over again. But Ascent, they'll want to pick this one up at this point. It's going to be massively problematic if they can't win here.
Yeah, and Skander is making it real difficult for them. Zera clips a wheel. It's not the end of the world, but it does drop him back by a few tenths at the very least. Arthur now trying to once again break his record and try and push up against Skander here, who is also trying his best to get a really good time going. Oh, but there's the water turn. If you don't get it absolutely perfectly, it will do that to you. It's a cruel mistress, that water, and now Skander falls back by 3 seconds after a respawn. Zera trying to keep up with Wosal here and try and put pressure so his teammate can get on through. Arthur still in first position, but Wosal staying close and gets a better exit. Arthur clips the wall, doesn't make it on through, and has to settle for third position. Once again, a draw. Here we are again.
Wow, it is, I mean, that would have been an absolutely fantastic time for Arthur. Would have been once again down near the 101.8s, but that final clip costs him enough that he is not able to get it done. And we stay tied up. We stay with alternate attacks in with a chance. And again, they are the quicker team. They're building early leads on the map. It's mistakes in the back half. It's that middle jump that allows ASCENT to catch back up as well. But alternate attacks, they're definitely doing what they need to contest on their opponent's map here.
I think this is what we kind of expected here. Obviously, ASCENT have been doing really well on this map. They're a really good team on this map, but alternate attacks are just a really good team overall. Skander, not the end of the world at all. Not quite the ideal line, but stays close to the rest of the players. Drops back a little bit. Arthur and Zera both putting together a good performance this time around. Zera screaming out ahead, actually. Everybody putting together a really nice time here. Zera plays it close and stays in third position.
Yeah, it's low jumps in the middle of the map onto ice that have caught Wosal back to the rest of the pack. Arthur is wider, has managed to overtake Wosal as well at the moment. Zera looking at this end is going to risk it a little bit more. It's going to catch Wosal to the line. He's going to beat him by only 20 thousandths of a second or so. And it is an ace for ASCENT. A very nice win for them indeed. And that's exactly what they needed.
There we go. That's what we expected from ASCENT coming onto this map. Alternate attacks, they hung on for dear life up until now. They were putting together really good times, but as soon as... I mean, they didn't even make mistakes. Skander made one mistake. Wosal was driving its heart out at the end, but Zera and Arthur were just quicker. Straight up, were just quicker. Arthur had a better exit out of the first turn. Zera had a better exit out of the last turn, and that's exactly what you need. The specialization on this map from ASCENT pulls them out ahead by 3 points now, and for alternate attacks, things are looking all but over. ASCENT can close this out with just one player in the top two, and so far, that has been guaranteed for them.
And what's been so interesting is that on the more like quote-unquote normal driving sections of this track, you know, the early turns and things like that, it has been alternate attacks that are quicker. But on the bits that require risking, ASCENT are just clearly the more practiced team. They're a little bit quicker. They're willing to go harder, although Skander has gone very hard indeed on that one. We'll be down to the finish line once again, but if Zera holds second, that's good enough for ASCENT to take a map back against alternate attacks.
Really nice from ASCENT. It took them a second to get that ace that they needed, but as soon as they got it, it was all good. And honestly, it was in their hands kind of the whole time. They were never giving up that top two position. They were always putting a player up there, which is, you know, like what we saw in stage one. That is the best way to win a series, to win a map, is to just consistently get a player in the top two and just make sure that you're not losing points. You know, gaining an ace, not you know, completely needed, but as long as you get it all done, it's all good. Now, this is a much more interesting map because alternate attacks have won it every time they played it, 3 times, and ASCENT have lost it every time they've played it.
Yeah, it's I think we said at the top of the match that alternate attacks' picks were probably going to be fairly one-sided blowouts. That ASCENT's picks were then going to be very closely contested by alternate attacks. And so far, we're 100% correct. That is exactly how this has gone. And I don't see any reason the pool would break that pattern.
Yeah, the only team with better ace percentage here is, of course, BS Plus Competition. But
they're crazy.
I mean, yeah, still 33.3% for alternate attacks here is the amount of aces they get on this one. 1 in every 3 rounds they ace. And, I mean, their average time is a full second better than ASCENT on this map. Which is completely, I mean, that's I think that says a lot, obviously, but still, I mean, they've put together good times on this map. It's not like they are a bad team here. Every team is well practiced here. It's more about whether they can bring it out when they need to, and it's looking very difficult against an alternate attacks that are this in form. They're looking to increase that ace percentage right now.
Yeah, Wosa and Skandir, they hold the lead into the identity for the first time around, and this is a team that plays smart as well. Their consistency is top tier, and when they don't need to full push it, they won't full push it. They'll make it to the line with a pair of great times. A 105.6 and a 105.7 is good enough to pick up that ace and slightly pad their stats a little bit further.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, alternate attacks were, you know, we thought they were going to win this map completely. Statistically, they are well out ahead of ASCENT on this one, and I think that is, as you said, as you mentioned quite aptly, going to be the case over this whole series, is that alternate attacks are incredibly good on their map picks. ASCENT, you know, are very good on theirs, but coming up against a team like alternate attacks, that's not, you know, good enough, right? You need to be outstanding on your map picks, and well, Zera putting together a good start on this one, and as long as alternate attacks do make mistakes like that, Wosal crashes out, ASCENT can pounce on some points here and at the very least make it a good map, if not, you know, really contend with alternate attacks here.
Yeah, an ace straight back, though, would at least be a statement of intent. It would make alternate attacks sit up, take pause, and maybe take ASCENT a little bit more seriously on the map. Yeah. Airwalk was a cruise for them. They didn't even have to think the entire way through. Maybe they were hoping for the same again here, but ASCENT have no interest in giving it to them. Arthnir and Zera are just about in front of Skandir, but Skandir much wider around the finish. Arthnir has touch, and Skandir will manage to catch both of them. A 105.695 is enough to win the round. Yeah. You got to get into the 105.6s, and neither player from the ASCENT was able to.
I mean, that's perfect from Skandir. Zera safes it, so Skandir was always going to overtake with more speed. Arthnir does take the riskier line, but clips a wheel just about, loses out a second there, and Skandir completely pounces on it. Alternate attacks, it may not have been a clean round from them, but it was easily good enough to keep ASCENT at bay.
They'll be happy to get away with that one, to hold on to that 3-point lead, and that's, I think, worst case scenario for ASCENT, where alternate attacks are now like, ooh, okay, yeah, no, we do need to be a little bit careful. We do need to, you know, play safe enough because our times are good enough that we still get to the line cleanly. But ASCENT didn't actually get anything out of it, right? They only draw. The lead is still at 3, and now alternate attacks are a little bit more aware of the threat.
Yep, well, Skandir and Wosal now well out ahead this time around, taking things very seriously. Zera and Arthnir right behind, but finding it difficult to keep up. Alternate attacks putting together a really, really beautiful performance, as we're used to seeing from the team, but obviously on a map of their choice, it's always going to come together quite nicely. Wosal clips a wheel, Zera slides out a little bit and slides out a little bit more. Arthnir does overtake Wosal, but Wosal with way more speed out of that water section and overtakes once again. Zera clips again, and yeah, I mean, that's an it's an ace from alternate attacks.
Wosal is determined to make it interesting right now. It's just bouncing through the walls. It's full pinball the entire way through the swimming pool. It's like seeing the hyperactive 7-year-old at the local public pool, you know, who's just been allowed a little bit too much sugar before going swimming. Just bouncing around all over the place, really interrupting. This is why you don't give energy drink.
This is why they started implementing the 16 plus on energy drinks from now on.
I remember going to the UK and getting ID'd for an energy drink.
That is a thing in the UK. Yeah, you have to be over 16 to buy an energy drink.
Yeah. Especially given I don't think I've been ID'd for like anything else I've bought in the last like 5 or 6 years.
I have since I started shaving, unfortunately. I've been ID'd for a lot of things now, but either way. When I had facial hair, I did not. But alternate attacks, once again, I mean, the reason we're being so casual about this one is that it just feels like a sure thing. It feels like a sure thing. Alternate attacks, once again, just putting together amazing times over and over. This time around, Arthnir giving them a run for their money, but can he keep it clean through the risky lines? This time around, first turn is real good. Will the second one match up as well? Can he stay ahead of Skandir and Wosal? It's not quite as good of an exit out of the water, but it's a better risky line. He stays ahead of Skandir. He forces a draw out of this one, but a draw is not enough for the team.
Yeah, 105.6. It continues to win rounds. I throw it out there as a number that you really want to be hitting. A 105.5 would be great. 105.6, usually good enough to be round winning. It's usually not this literal, where I think pretty much every single round has been won by a 105.6.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I mean, the thing is, right, we see ASCENT as the underdogs. We've been playing them up as the underdogs this whole time. Oh, Skandir, unfortunate from that. Wosal will keep up with Arthnir, but ASCENT are a really good team. They've been contending with other teams here in the Challenger League completely. You know, they have to prove themselves.
They've been exalted to get here.
But yeah, exactly. They beat Exalted to get hit. Still obviously having to prove themselves after that one. That's an unfortunate crash out from Arthnir there. But also, look, they have outperformed what we expected, even at this point. They have fully proved that they belong here. It's whether or not now they can get themselves up into the top 4.
Wosal is trying to hold off Zerar at the moment. Skandir so far down that we should have at least one more round here. It's up to Ascent to determine how many points they can get out of this one. And Zerar will overtake Wosal to try and get a few more. Wosal fully slid out on that one. In fact, Arthanir may even manage to catch up as well. A 106.1 is the slowest round win we have had. But Arthanir did catch Wosal and Ascent. They're back within 3.
Oh, man. Well, okay. We've got a game on our hands suddenly, out of absolutely nowhere. This really could go the other way. Again, it is, if alternate attacks do make that mistake, suddenly Ascent are on the comeback. Ascent are able to pounce on those ones. Zerar takes that identity completely safely every time. And, well, if alternate attacks are not in front of you, then that works.
Yeah. If you can just... I don't know, mind control alternate attacks into making early mistakes. I would have said quite difficult to do, and yet here we are with Ascent managing to pull back to at least respectability here in pool, although it still may not be enough. Alternate attacks are going to be sitting roughly in that 1-3 position that they need. We'll see if Wosa has managed to overtake. Not quite. Still behind Arthanir at the back, and Zerar is trying to chase down Skandir. There's a lot to be decided in this identity.
Yeah, Skandir does not want to give Ascent the time of day this time around, and with Wosal making a mistake, obviously, he can't afford to make one himself. Fall behind. These 2 Ascent players are only 3 points behind. That is not a massive amount. Zerar crashes out there, and Wosal has overtaken Arthanir, may be able to overtake Zerar as well. Indeed, he does. At the finish line, alternate attacks close out the map with an 11-5 after a couple of unfortunate mistakes for Ascent there. They made it a little more competitive than we thought it was going to be, but in the end, alternate attacks did what we expected them to.
Look a little bit more respectable in the history books. The 11-5 is nicer than being shut out at 11-2, but really that was more of an 11-2 type of map right there. That was fully in the hands of alternate attacks from round 1, and they never really looked at risk of letting go in much the same way that they didn't back on Airwalk either. Is it to be a different story on breaking, or will alternate attacks this time around manage to turn it and manage to pull a win away from their opponents?
Well, on breaking here, anything really can happen. I don't think we've really seen a clean kind of map here on breaking at all from any team whatsoever. I think everybody has struggled a little bit with this map. You know, we've really not seen... I mean, we've seen rounds individually that have got close to the Grand League, but not maps whatsoever.
This is alternate attacks' first time playing this map.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Which is interesting. It's Ascent's 4th time. They've only won it on one of the 3 previous visits. And I'll be honest, just because alternate attack... Maybe that was the plan, right? You see that alternate attacks have never played this. You're like, well, like, we have to try something. So we threw Grip out there just to see it. It worked out on that one. And, you know, they managed to pick up the win. And, well, alternate attacks have never played breaking. So maybe there's a chance there. Why not just throw it out as well? I would have gone for Frosty then, personally, right? Just fully be like, I don't know, like, let's just throw everyone into an Ice 360 and see who comes out of the blender on top. But breaking's not a terrible idea either in that case then. And right now, round 1 seems to be working out. Skandir has fallen behind. Zerar leads from Wosa, leads from Arthanir. That's a lot of wiggling from Arthanir, and it gives him a great exit. Absolutely flawless. Is gaining on his teammate as well. Needs to be careful not to overcook it in the finish. Arthanir, calm down, man.
Oh, Arthanir is a killer queen, as Freddie Mercury would say there on that identity. My lord, that is unreal. Like I'm
hyped up Scrappy myself,
for that.
Honestly,
we've hyped up Scrappy for that, you know, before. But Arthanir is really insane on that. The amount of time this guy makes up on that was several tenths in 2 turns.
Literally, that was gorgeous. Like, it was the perfect exit, that final wiggle being judged to leave him coming out on an inside line on the first turn. So carrying a huge amount of speed, but still keeping very close to the inside wall, driving shortest distance available, and then judging the speed on the second exit to perfection, managing to come through and overtake the teammate as well. It's still only 1 round, right? And alternate attacks ultimately were both looking competitive right up until Arthanir pulled it off. And no matter how good you are, I'm not convinced you can guarantee you're going to pull off an identity that good to pull out an ace every time.
Yeah, I think that is the worry for them, but it looks like they're a little bit quicker. Oh, pre-identity as well. Arthur slightly overcooks it, although Wosal goes way wide. Oh man, stays in control of the car just about, but Zera will have a little bit of a speed advantage in the identity. Arthur now trying to catch up. Can he catch up to Wosal? It's a tall order, well over 3/10 ahead, but he can't do it. Maybe more speed. It's close. He's got him.
Oh, he got him.
6,000. That is insane.
Bro, he's done it twice in a row.
4/10.
He made a mistake entering the pool. It was a genuine error from Arthur, and he just says, all right, fair enough. I'm turning the difficulty settings to max and just absolutely smurfs the identity. Well, this is
scary on braking.
Yeah, you say that. They've turned the difficulty from max to, I think they've turned it up to 11.
Yeah, it's looking like a FromSoft Trackmania here. Unfortunately for ASCENT, this is the final boss battle here against Alternate ATTAX, with them fully a second ahead. Both of them now just got to, well, hold on for dear life. Hope that Alternate ATTAX are going to make a mistake. There have been mistakes from Alternate ATTAX here on this map already, but maybe they've warmed up into it here. And Wosal and Skandir staying that distance ahead now. ASCENT going to find it hard to take this one back. Even get a point out of this round is going to be a tall order.
They really are relying on that mistake, and it's Zera who makes the first one as well. Skandir and Wosal both, it looks like, cleanly through the water this time around, and I think that is the last place where you're really looking for a mistake from the cars. When you're this far in front, braking is a map where, hey, all you gotta do is brake, right? Like, you shouldn't be overcooking it. You shouldn't be overcooking it on the outside with a lead that big. Wosal does it anyway, and we have another draw. The 3-point lead stays stable.
Arthur has sniped a player in every round on braking so far.
Is that a snipe, Twiggy? Like, be honest with yourself. Was that a snipe?
Yeah, it was a mistake, but also got the overtake done. He's overtaken somebody on the identity 3 rounds on the trot.
No, you're right. And it's Skandir who makes an early mistake this time around. ASCENT could try and extend their lead.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they got points out of that round is unreal. Alternate ATTAX, just a tiny mistake, and Arthur pounces. I mean, that is just how insane. I don't know. Arthur is very scary here. Does not have the best time, but if he gets a pre-identity that's good, I could see him getting an easy TMCL record on that identity.
Twiggy, I'm reminded of the fact that both of the ASCENT players came to us from the RPG scene, right? Like, these are traditionally RPG players, and so far, what we are seeing in this match is on more traditional turns, on, just kind of normal tech turns and the rest of it. Alternate ATTAX are the better team. You put ASCENT onto an identity that they're comfortable with. You put them onto an awkward water entry or something, and they're monsters. They're just managing to just do it over and over. Arthur once again has an absolutely perfect exit from the first turn, a great exit from the second turn as well. It's once again not going to be a record-setting time, but he's not losing times on the quote-unquote difficult parts of the track.
I thought this was going to be a lot less one-sided. ASCENT, man, already up 6 points now. Their ace percentage is going to look real nice on this track very soon, I feel like. But my lord, Arthur is MVP right now. Zera falls back a little bit. Arthur, I mean, all they need is 2 points. So technically, if one Alternate ATTAX player makes a mistake, it's very possible that they can just take away this round and close out the map. Not let Alternate ATTAX even get into it.
That'd be the hope, right? And Zera making the mistake early on is going to make it difficult to do it on this round. But Arthur is still going to look to limit the point loss as much as possible. Keep Alternate ATTAX as far away from 10 as you can is the name of the game right now. If you can't win, just stop your opponent from beating you it's just good. It's just a great place to be. And that is ASCENT, what they've managed to do so far on this map. Damage limitation has been pulled off every time Alternate ATTAX get into a good position.
Yeah. Well, now Arthur stays in first. There's a mistake. Wosal falls back. Maybe Zera can get that overtake done. Skandir is going to try to stay ahead of Arthur here, but that is in itself a tall order. Arthur takes more speed through the first turn, but Skandir is a little more inside and stays that gap ahead. Oh no, but clips a wheel. Arthur is feeling the pressure. pressure as well. Both of them fall back. Wosal takes first place. Zerar in second. Skandir will come home in third. And Arthanir, with an uncharacteristic mistake, doesn't manage to close out the map. It's 4-9. It's still ASCENT to take away, but they could have done it there.
Imagine if that comes back to haunt them. If alternate attacks can ace twice in a row, they will snipe the map out from underneath ASCENT at this point. Wouldn't that be cruel irony after how many snipes Arthanir has pulled off? But all Arthanir needed to do was get around that final turn cleanly one last time. Something he's done so well, so often, and misjudged slightly. Didn't even need to go that aggressively. His opponent crashed at the same time. Of course, no way of knowing that your opponent is crashing at the same time as you are. It's just the potential for that to haunt you is so high. Yeah.
Well, right now Arthanir down by a little bit. And again, making it difficult for himself on this one. Skandir in first place. Zerar staying exactly where he needs to be for the time being. Again, 1 point closes this one out. As long as Wosal doesn't overtake, it should be all good for ASCENT. They can get themselves to map 5 with an even scoreline up against alternate attacks, which is in and of itself a really good accomplishment already. Zerar. Oh no, there's a mistake, and alternate attacks are on for the ace. It could happen. Oh man, Skandir gets around the first corner. Wosal gets around the first corner. It's all good from both of them. Arthanir is too far back to make any impact on this round. Skandir and Wosal both cleanly get through. And there is that first ace that they need. And oh man, it could just happen. 2 points behind now.
Good time from Skandir as well. 113.6 is right up there with the best times we have seen so far in this match. And maybe they're not doing the identity, maybe they're doing it everywhere else, but alternate attacks are still very quick. It's a 9-7 scoreline. We're guaranteed a winner on this round. And for ASCENT, if they is not them, that's going to break it. There's no way you win this match after that. I'm calling that shot now. Yeah, well, Arthanir is looking to take this one away right now. Obviously has had a couple of mistakes along with the absolutely immense point steals that he's had from alternate attacks here. Just needs one clean round and he can close it out, and that's exactly what he plans on doing right now. Very inside on the ice turn. We'll get an early entry into the dirt. Zerar right behind. Wosal trying to split the difference between them, but knows that they need that ace right here. So Skandir and Wosal both have to catch up to the race leader. Arthanir now ahead by 3/10. Gonna be down to the line. I'm hoping it's down to the identity. Please, all 4 players there. No mistakes in the water. Arthanir has made the mistake in the water. Zerar cannot afford a mistake now. Needs to hold off Skandir. Has enough of a gap. There's enough air room behind that Zerar should be okay as long as there is not a mistake. No way. No. It's going to be the ace. Alternate attacks have taken their win, and alternate attacks move to 3-1. Oh my god. That was the most... Wow. God damn. That's god damn. That's so rough. Arthanir looked so good. Like, legitimately some of the best identities that we have seen anyone drive on breaking so far in the Challenger League. You know, would have been up there in the Grand League as well in terms of the identity. Sure, the rest of the map, you know, up until that point, they were good. They weren't incredible, but that was great from ASCENT. They went to 9-4, Twiggy. And they gave up the back-to-back aces. And it was, I'm going to say it, they gave up those back-to-back aces, right? Yeah, I mean, that can only be described as a choke. Even the round before that, they had the chance to close it out. Arthanir and Skandir both crashed at the same time. If Arthanir does not crash on that round, they got the 2 points. They would have won from 8 points by getting a round win. Instead, they got a draw. It went from 8-3 to 9-4, and alternate attacks back-to-back aced them. And now they're moving onto a map where alternate attacks have won 100% of the time. They have a 40% ace rate, and it's series point when ASCENT could have entered this map with even scoring to alternate attacks map here. 6. Exactly. And could have had a chance to get back at them on the next map, but this is the worst situation they could possibly be in. This is one of alternate attacks. Again, they're the best team on this map in the Challenger League at the moment. They've never even picked it, but they are the best team on the map. Yeah, look, I'm trying not to be too sad because, we're unbiased here, obviously, of course, as you can tell from our voices. We like all of these teams equally, but when you see something go that wrong, it's hard not to feel for the team that it has gone wrong for. Alternate Attacks, they will pick up an ace in the first round, and yeah, they were really, really solid on breaking as well just there. They deserve the 3-1 lead they have at the moment. They're probably going to deserve the win in this match, but by God, that is tough for ASCENT to swallow.
That is really, and the thing is, the mental role that plays in this whole series, right? In this map specifically, it's a big factor in Trackmania where focus is everything, and you have to drive specific lines just to get this time over and over again. A tiny, like, it can make such a difference if you're not 100% feeling it after that one, and you cannot be 100% feeling it after choking a 9-4 scoreline. I think you can see the mistakes creeping in. Zera seems to be awakened by it, but Skander and Wosal are feeling real confident now.
Hey, we've seen massive comebacks in the Challenge League before. I absolutely said last stage, ain't no way that we are ever going to see a reverse sweep. We saw 2 in the regular season then, directly after that. There's still a chance here. ASCENT are not out of it just yet, but they are 5-1 down. It's going to be very much, and I don't want to say that Alternate Attacks are out of the woods, because most of Off-Road is, in fact, the woods, but they look to be leaving pretty quickly.
Yeah. That's so unfortunate. We were in for a really, really amazing series here, and it's taken away. It's snatched away by Alternate Attacks. Fair play to them, off the back of a couple of mistakes from ASCENT there, and that's all it takes. 3 mistakes, and aces go in the favor of Alternate Attacks, and that is it. Your series is pretty much over now, and they have to fight for a win on a map where they are, by far, on paper, the underdogs.
Yeah, it doesn't matter though, they're going to get 3 aces in a row here, and then we'll be heading to map 6, and it'll be glorious. I cannot wait to be very excited for ASCENT as that happens.
Yeah, well, it's a better turn from both Arthur and Zera this time around, and Wosal will hit the wall. Maybe ASCENT have a chance to get back into this one. You really never know what can happen here. Again, all of these teams, it is not a sure thing. Alternate Attacks may have really, really good stats on this map. It does not mean that they are infallible. And ASCENT stay in first and second position now, as long as they get through the trees all right, which they do just about. It's fine. They got it done. They do manage to get an ace back within 1 point now of Alternate Attacks.
I'm pretty sure that final tree is a rubber tree, because we've seen so many players bounce off it and somehow still not lose that much speed. I know it's because they have the reactor boost, and so the acceleration penalty isn't as harsh, and they're carrying enough speed to still get across the line. But it's funnier to imagine that it's a rubber tree.
I do like that idea, yeah. Not very eco-friendly, though, unfortunately, a rubber tree, I don't think.
But they do have a lot of fake trees in Ireland. Like, if they have to build a telephone antenna near a road somewhere and it'd look really ugly, there's a couple that have just big fake branches stuck on. They don't really look like real trees, if I'm being totally honest. He's looking a bit planted there anyway.
Oh, this is so unfortunate. Oh, man. Skander in first position now, and Zera right behind, but it is a rather large gap, and Arthur even further back. Wosal, I mean, completely out of the race at this point, unless something horrifying happens. Skander should be able to take first place away with a really nice time as well, 59.74. Very solid. Zera in second, Arthur in third, and ASCENT stay within 1 point here of Alternate Attacks.
Talked about it during the week a little bit, saying that at the start of the season, players were full risking on a lot of the rounds. That's where a lot of our current records came from, is players just sending it, because that's all they really knew how to do on the maps. Players, as they have settled down now over the next couple of weeks, have started to, not really contest those Challenger League records all that much over the last week or so. But you can see consistent times are creeping ever closer to those times. We are consistently getting within a couple of tenths of them. And I think come next week, I'm hoping that we're going to start to see a lot of these Challenger League records start to creep down and down, as opposed to just jumping down in big bursts.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is going to be the case. I mean, look, it's the same thing that happened in stage 1. We thought, halfway through the stage, we were like, Challenger League are never going to get within, that close to. And then, week 6 and 7, I think we had about 4 or 5 TMGL records broken by Challenger League players. So, I mean, that is definitely the case, I think, this stage as well. I think maybe a little more of a gap to make up, but for now, Wosal comes home to a first position. Zera second, Skandir this time in third, and alternate attacks do extend that lead.
Yeah, up on to match point now. 8-6. The center within striking distance, and Ace brings them up to 9 and keeps them in this match. But they really will need an ace at some point in the near future. Even just picking up a round win now leaves them trailing by a point, leaves them very vulnerable to alternate attacks stepping up on the round after that. They'll have to hope, probably, for a mistake still from alternate attacks. The pace has looked a little bit better for the team in blue at the moment. And Arthanir is the player who makes the earliest mistake in this round. And it is a brutal one. Fully 2, probably about 4 to 5 seconds by the time we hit this next checkpoint. And it is up to Zerar to at least force the draw to keep the team in it.
Yeah, it's looking real difficult, though. You have to get into first position to do that. Okay, that gives him an opportunity as Skandir slides out. Oh, but Zera, I think, has also slid out and respawned, unfortunately. It's looking all but over now. I mean, Wosal in first position, Skandir in second, and that should be all she wrote for this series. It's been a heartbreaking one, honestly. ASCENT just could have had that opportunity to get going on this. It just didn't work out that way.
Congratulations to alternate attacks. They will win 4-1, cementing themselves atop the Challenger League here in stage 2 at the halfway point, just past the halfway point. 4 out of their 7 regular season matches played. And they've won all 4 of them so far. They've had to dispatch some fairly tough competition. They have dropped a couple more games, I think, than maybe we were expecting against some of the opponents that they've played so far.
Yeah.
But they're still up 4-0, and they are looking good to keep the perfect stage alive.